Hello and welcome to DMA Decision Makers. My name is Neil Moore and today we're at the offices of Yum Brands in Asia, in Singapore specifically, and I'm talking to the Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer here, that is Vipul Chawla. Vipul, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, I'm delighted.
First question, before we get into Yum, is I want to know about you. What's your background and how is it that you've come to be the CMO of this organisation?
I'm basically from India. Born and brought up there and started my career with Unilever in India. Worked largely in Asia and a bit in Europe. So I've traveled around in that business, and I was predominantly in the home and personal care part of that business for most of my time there, largely in the marketing function. About a year ago, there was an opportunity to explore working with Yum.
Unilever is a very sophisticated and advanced marketing machine, but you're over here now in the convenience food sector. Where do you think they stand on the sort of digital spectrum? Are you early adopters, innovators, laggards?
Right. So if I were to contrast my experience in Unilever and then more recently in Yum, in Unilever a lot of the consumer engagement and interaction was happening through the use of online for advertising purposes and less so for commerce. One of the natural aspects in the quick service industry business is that we move where consumers are starting to behave. And in this business, 10% of it is through online ordering, online engagement and so on. So that's just naturally sets us up for being able to make progress with greater speed because consumers are behaving in that manner.
And what about Yum? Where does Yum stand in terms of its competitors in the digital marketing space?
In the way we use digital, I'd look at two broad pillars. One is the aspect of consumer engagement. So, how we engage with consumers. The other is in terms of transacting business with them. Let me start with the second. About 10% of our business is through online ordering. And increasingly, that is a natural behavior for consumers when they are working with a quick service or a convenience-based industry. So that's a place that we are already moving, and I think we're ahead of other industries, and within the fast food business, we're competitive. So that's one. The other part is in terms of in the bucket of what we would call traditional advertising, and I'd really look at three aspects there. The first aspect there is how do you engage with your customers, which is really built on their behaviors. The second part is what's the technology we use to enable us to engage with customers. And the third is what's the medium we use, whether it's a traditional television advertising, whether it's outdoor, whether it's press, or in our case the store, because the store experience is as powerful, if not more, than a television experience for a customer. So we try and bring the three aspects together: the engagement piece, the enabling technology, and the medium.
You look after markets from Singapore all the way to Hawaii and everything in between. Do you notice significant differences in the uptake and usage of digital across those markets, or is it just a case of when they've got the bandwidth and devices, everyone pretty much behaves the same?
Insofar as the digital space is concerned, it's often based on the digital evolution of the market and the behaviors that consumers adopt. So in markets like Indonesia, we find that there is a larger propensity for a community type behavior. So therefore you will find Facebook to be of bigger impact. In a market like Japan, which is a little more individualistic, you'll find that Twitter seems to have a larger impact than Facebook. So those are some of the similarities and differences in the way we work.
Yours is largely a franchise business with major corporates licensing the brands in their home countries, such as Mitsubishi in Japan. How do you ensure consistency across your marketing efforts when they're being fed through another organization before reaching the public?
So the consistency that we ensure in our business is based on two broad principles. The first is the consistency of the brand. This brand is about taste. It's about generosity, authenticity. It's about a great customer experience. And we find across the world, consumers are very passionate and differentiate a brand on taste. So that's something that holds us together, whether it's Hawaii or a Singapore or a Malaysia or an Indonesia or the Philippines. Yeah. And that's not surprising because we differentiate on taste. This is often been described as the best tasting product in the world because it was created by the first original celebrity chef, Colonel Sanders. So that's what holds us together. The second part, which holds us together, is the focus within the countries on execution, because that's what they do. And the entire piece comes together by the culture which the company has defined. And this culture really is all about taking people with you, which has several aspects. It's about knowing yourself, knowing what you stand for. It's about being the change, and it's about driving that change in the markets. And I think one of the aspects that differentiates Yum as an organization from others is that the culture piece and the people capability piece always comes first. That happens, and then the business follows. That, I think, holds us together, and therefore, regardless of whether we are a franchisor or a franchisee structure, it works together as one organization.